What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna talk to y'all about illnesses. Um, More specifically, something that a lot of us have already been talking about for a long time. So I'm noticing a trend now, like on social media, and we kind of seen like the uptick around COVID, where a lot of people are becoming more aware of the foods that they're eating. People are starting to notice like the food is fake, or the food seems off, it tastes off, it looks off, it smells off. It's So this is something where now I'm seeing like this generation coming up now are like aware of it at a really young age. I'm seeing a lot of younger people post about it on their TikToks, their Instagram, stuff like that. So I wanted to shed some light on the situation. So during COVID, when I still had social media, I posed a question asking, what if the real thing that's going on is that the food is fake and they're running out of resources, and that's why we're getting all this fake food. So obviously we know about greed, and that could be all it really is. It's just greed and overconsumption. um, One side of the fence has to hold that responsibility for the greed, and then us on our side of the fence, we have to hold the responsibility for the overconsumption. um, but then again, we've also been conditioned to be overconsumers. So if you want to be technical, I mean, the system never likes to accept accountability. You know what I mean? So if you ever want them to accept accountability, they're never going to do that by choice. Okay? So that's just something that you got to know. No judge wants to take accountability for the corruption that goes on in their courthouses, or the systems that they implement that oppress people and keep people down and keep people attached to the system for much longer than they need to be. No president wants to take accountability for the greed and the, let's just be real, the genocide of corporations and the genocide of capitalism, because that's all it is. Capitalism is running a genocide over us. And that's what you got to know. That's what you need to wake the fuck up to. It's not about Republican. It's not about Democrat. It's not about all that bullshit. It's about capitalism. That's who runs the world. The corporations. That's who runs the world. It's not your government. Okay? Everybody has a master to serve. We're at the lowest level. We're the bottom feeders. We're the source. We're the source of energy. We're the source of the workforce. We're the source of the consumption. We are it. And the times when we start to realize that and stop fighting each other, white, black, rich, poor, uh, this Republican, Democrat, this gang, that gang, all that bullshit, all that fake ass shit, all that conditioning, all that brainwashing, all that CIA, PSYOP bullshit. As soon as we break away from that shit, as soon as we stop doing that and we come together and we realize we hold the power, it was never them, it's always been us, and they can only do what the fuck we allow, that's when everything's going to change. As long as we're sitting back doing this, blah, 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 and arguing amongst each other, Republican, Democrat, as long as we're doing that, that's business, that's status quo. So you can't say you're woke if you sit back and do that type of shit. If you're one of them ones that's still sitting back, Republican, Democrat, black, white, Mexican, all that bullshit, my side, your side, if you're still sitting back doing all that shit, you're still part of the engine. You're still part of the machine. You're still part of the brainwashing. You're still part of the psyop. The moment you step back to the outside of it all, look within, find the real truth, look past all the lies, not just the lies from your opposing side, but your side too. The moment you can do that, the moment you can wake the fuck up for real. Because it's like the same thing where like people say, oh, this is the woke generation. Well, I'm here to tell you that kids in the 90s and the 80s were aware too. I'm here to tell you that in the 70s, they did the hippie free love movement, free love anti-war movement. So you ain't the first generation to know what's going on. It's just a matter of you're going to be another generation who thinks one way of doing something is the way to success when it's really not. We think sitting back on these phones like what I'm doing right now and talking about exposing shit that's already been exposed before is where the buck stops. That's not where the buck stops. The buck stops when you stop participating in all their bullshit. That's when the change really happens. The moment you stop participating, the moment you see through all the bullshit, the moment you stop clicking with sides and you just click with the truth, the real truth, that's when we're going to start waking up. That's when we're going to start realizing that we're all together, one consciousness. We all need to stick together. We need to work together, and we need to go after the tyranny that is ruling this nation and furthermore ruling this world, because it's not just our country, it's all the countries. It's all being ran by corruption and tyranny. For you history buffs, right? For you knowledge, you fact checkers, your country was built by thugs, criminals, gangsters, extortionists, embezzlers, blackmailers. That's who built the country. That's who infiltrated the government right from the start. That's who is behind all the big corporations. That's who's behind all the laws that get passed. It's criminals. When you stop seeing them as the point of authority, as righteous, and you start seeing them as criminals, just like they try to make us look and feel, your whole perspective will change. You'll no longer see them as some allegiance or some country daddy that you got to bow to, pray to, and ask permission to do shit. And you'll start to fight back, because that's all it is. It's that little bit of thread that we hang on to, because jumping will be scary, right? Jumping's scary. But if we can hang on to a little shred of hope, oh, I'm going to vote for Joseph Kent because Joseph Kent, he might be the one. We're going to keep doing that shit because we've been doing that. We've been keep saying, looking in a field of 100 men, saying, oh, he might be the good one. He's not, because he's been there the whole time. He's been there the whole time. Stop believing that these people just woke up to the truth yesterday. No, they didn't. They knew the whole time. They got to keep their party intact. So they got to separate themselves, right? I'm going to separate myself from this group. And they might even agree on that behind the scenes. You don't know. You don't know how deep this shit goes. They could be like, hey, man, you got to separate yourself from us and you got to stand against us a little bit. Just don't say this, this, and this. And you can go ahead and do that. So then that way we have somebody on our side to fall back on. Because when a Republican messes up this bad, just like when a Democrat messes up that bad, this is what you get. You already know that the people are not going to vote for that side again. You already know that the people are going to maybe skip this year or maybe vote for a different side this time. And that's the shit that we don't really talk about, because just in how people are elected and how and the way the victories go is suspicious as hell, right? So, but more so what I want to focus on is, yes, the food, fake, right? Weird, off, making us sick. Yes. During COVID, I posed the question. I said, what if that were the food is fake and we're running out of resources and they need to figure out what the fuck they got to do because it's getting bad, right? That's part of it. But I want to inform you that about between 15 and 20 years ago, me and my circle, as small as it is, we were already talking about forced growing food, GMOs. We were already talking about air pollution, and we were already talking about how they were poisoning our air and they were poisoning our food and they were poisoning our water. So for all my generation this time around, hey, we know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not discouraging you from going out and talking, because awareness has to come first. Everybody has to be aware first. It's important. It's just another important piece in the puzzle. But take it from somebody who's older, who's been here longer, who's seen a lot of awareness get spread and a lot of action not take place and a lot of things get worse. That there's a cautionary tale to gaining knowledge and not doing anything about it, and thinking that sitting back on your social media like I'm doing right now and talking about it is all that there's going to ever be, and that's going to somehow get you to the mountaintop. It's not going to happen. This is enough isn't going to happen. And you could say, well, it's our generation that exposed the Epstein files. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. First off, anytime something like that gets exposed, it gets exposed from the inside. That means somebody in the feds leaked that shit. Somebody close to Epstein leaked that shit. A foreign enemy, spy leaked that shit, right? It's not getting leaked by me and you sitting back in our mom's basement hacking shit. We're not gummo. That's not how that shit happens. Okay? It gets leaked from the inside. And then you ask the question, wait a second. See, this is how critical thinking works. I'm going to school you a little bit on critical thinking if you're not a person who knows how to critically think. If they exposed it, then that means what? Anybody want to help me out? That means they already had it. You have to already have something to expose it, right? You have to already be sitting on it. Well, if you track back 30 years, Hillary Clinton was already involved in scandal. FBI data leaks, email leaks. You see what I mean? So this is what I'm not talking down on you. I'm just saying somebody, if you're old enough to remember, if you've been around long enough, if you've been addicted and busted, and this is what you've been all about for a long time, you've already came across all the bullshit. You already know. Like, our generation was the generation of that influx of documentaries where we were sitting down watching documentary after documentary about what the fuck was going on with our food and what went on with George Bush and 9/11 and what actually went on with this and that and this and that and JFK. We already knew. Bob Marley. We already knew. There's a lot of people who already knew. But the problem is, just like with Alex Jones, when we get up and talk about it, everybody steps on us, tells us to shut up, tells us we're crazy, tells us we're insane, then gaslights the shit out of us until we go insane, like Alex Jones. And then we're the laughing stock, and nobody even gives credit to all the shit that this person tried to help. Because anytime you're exposing some dark shit like Alex Jones did, I don't give a damn what you think about the man. I got my opinions too. But imagine if we'd have listened to him 12 years ago, because I did, but I'm a nobody. And he wasn't talking about nothing that I didn't already feel like. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm right there with you because I think the same thing. And then lo and behold, he's correct 12 years in advance. And that was 12 years in advance officially. Imagine how ahead he was off the record. Imagine how long he's known this off the record. Now, you could say he's a plan or something, but whatever. I don't care. All I know is if talking and telling the truth is all it took, then we'd have known about the Epstein Island and we'd have been pushing for it 12 years ago. But we didn't, because the celebrities that we worship, false idol, get up there and make a mockery of it, laugh about it, make us feel stupid, and then we tell ourselves, oh, Alex Jones is just a nut job. He's a crazy guy on a camper and a conspiracy. We do the whole 9 yards. But these people always turn out to be right, just like me. Same thing. That everybody said I was a conspiracy theorist, or said, they'll be like, oh, well, you think about things well, but there's always some smartass who comes along wanting to practically, well, actually, they do it like this, and it's actually perfectly safe. Well, then how come actually the numbers show that it's not perfectly safe? So the topic that I'm talking about today is strictly related to food and agriculture, right? In my area where I live, my area is huge agriculture. Like, that's all that's here. There's nothing else here. And we have, not just in the state, we have some of the highest agriculture related illnesses in the country, not just in the state. We have some of the highest rates in the whole country, not just the state. And I'm going to explain it to you. So, what are the illnesses that are coming with this air pollution, this runoff, this pesticide, this spraying, the bird flu? Like, you get so much that comes along with this, right? So you'll develop COPD, a lot of breathing problems, a lot of lung viruses, lung illnesses, lung infection, sinus infection. And this shit has a toll. This shit takes a toll on you. You'll see a higher risk for mental issues from breathing all this shit in. You'll see a higher risk of colon cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, because that's what this stuff eventually turns into. You're seeing it amongst healthy people, young children. Then all of a sudden, the mortality rate starts declining, and people are dying young. People are dying in groups. A lot of people are getting sick the same way and coming to the hospital with the same problems. And it's just like, oh, it's going around. Like, no, it's not just going around. It's in the fucking air and it's in our water. Where I live, 50% of the people rely on wells. We have wells here, a lot of country. That poison is leaching into your wells. You're showering with it, you're drinking with it, you're making ice with it, you're making tea with it, you're making all kind of shit with it, and it's making you sick. And if you think water is only absorbed in your mouth, it absorbs into your skin too. And then you get the spreading of the bird flu. So, everybody's worrying about COVID. Everybody was worried about COVID. I mean, I got bats where I live, and I have birds, wild birds, birds of prey, and we're huge in chicken farms here. So you tell me, right? And that's not to say that it wasn't leaked, like it wasn't like the conspiracy aspect of it. But what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get to you is that it doesn't have to be all that. It doesn't even matter, because how we do things is inhumane and dangerous and poisonous and toxic to us. And this is the crazy thing, okay? This is why I have a deep hatred and disdain for having financial backing. This is why I talked about it in my government videos a lot, where I talk about how I don't believe in having financial backers for party members, because why isn't that a government funded endeavor? If you want to run for president, that should be government funded. It should be the government funding these candidates. That way you remove corruption, because then, or at least a piece of it. But I find it ironic when the pesticide companies and all the farms got behind Donald Trump, and he gets elected, and then he deregulates all this shit. And now I'm sicker than I've ever been. And what I noticed the most was when I didn't live here, when I moved away, because I moved away from home for quite some time, I didn't have all this shit that I got going on. I mean, I had issues because I was not so kind to myself growing up. But at the same time, I didn't have all that breathing, eyes, all that trash that I'm dealing with now, that I've been dealing with since I've been back. So, I mean, you tell me, right? So, if the numbers don't lie, if the testimony don't lie, if the physical and mental and internal symptoms, processing, if that don't lie, and then you collect a large number and you getting suspicious, like, man, a lot of people sure are dying young, and they ain't all dying from drugs, because that's big here too. But that's everywhere. You know what I mean? Drugs, that's something else. That's a whole nother topic. But it's a lot. It's what I'm explaining to you is it's an accelerating process. It's something that's getting worse over time, and we get comfortable with it, and we act like, yeah, but we put a lot of food on a lot of tables, and like they always got, like, I understand, like, I'm not coming for you, I'm coming for the overseers who are supposed to control this situation. And that's why I laugh when we act like we're so advanced, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not. We pretend like we're so advanced, we're such a just dominant, superior, and we're not. We peaked. We traded real advancement for a plastic piece of shit. We didn't actually advance. We just pushed technology to the brink, and that was all by design anyway. They did that on purpose. They gave us this shit on purpose. And it's effective. Trust me. I see. I know the difference. I know the difference in how people used to act in public versus now. I know the difference in how people used to interact with one another versus now. And for a lot of time, I just thought it was just me. Like, damn, I like what am I like wearing a kick me sign or something? But then I started observing others and I'm like, oh, this is everybody's acting like this. Excuse me. And maybe not everybody, but I mean, this is like a problem where as soon as, like, I'm noticing a lot of people just go out in public and get anxiety now. And that's something that used to be reserved for people like me who had issues or who were just neurodivergent, or maybe some autistic, or maybe just a very internal being, somebody who likes to be to themselves, likes to self-soothe, likes to be away from the crowd, people who like their relationships in one-on-one or very small groups, right? But now I'm noticing that spreading. So like everything's spreading. Mental health is spreading, illnesses are spreading, frustration spreading, hatred spreading, racism spreading, sexism spreading. It's just all a piece of trash. But we act like we're so advanced and we're so much better, and that's what's keeping us behind, is this ego and this pride to something that we, if you actually listen to us talk about it, we actually have a disdain for it. We don't like it, we're mad at it, we're upset at it. So why are we clinging so tightly with so much pride and ego if all we do is bitch about it? I take pride in my role as a parent. I don't bitch about having a parent. I don't complain about it. Right? If you take pride in something, it's not going to be something you cry and bitch about all day long, right? It's not going to be something that you always are worried about and think you're being lied to about, right? Sounds like a bad toxic relationship. Yeah. So just cut the final cord. You don't owe the government, country shit. You don't owe them nothing. You don't owe them shit. They owe you. They take everything from you. The capitalists and the big businesses, the billionaires, they got rich off of you. You didn't get rich off of them, genius. They got rich off of you. You don't owe them shit. They owe you everything, and they're not going to give it to you until you stand the fuck up. Until you say, no, I'm not falling for that trick. I'm not falling for that rapper. I'm not falling for that entertainer. I'm not falling for that bullshit. I'm not falling for this. I'm not falling for that. Nope, I'm done. Take that shit, shove it up your ass, and give me what you owe me. Tell me the truth. Fix your system. Fix your bullshit. Fix your corruption. Fix your checks and balances. Fix your Fed. Fix your CIA. Give us our information. Let us know what's going on, because we live here too. This is our country too. They treat us like children, and we keep letting them treat us like children. They treat us like slaves and prisoners, and we keep letting them treat us like that. It's not going to stop until we stop it. And all I'm saying is keep spreading awareness, but keep your foot on the back of their necks, and I don't care what you do, but what I'm saying is you're going to put a lot more pressure on these motherfuckers if you don't align to a side. Because if you're aligning to a side, you're aligning to the system, and it's the same system. And I mean, I can't convince nobody shit. If you think Democrats are the best and they're going to fix everything, then keep on. Just keep on keeping on. Because I can't convince you. I can't convince you, just like I can't convince the Republicans that you're foolish. I'm sorry. I ain't got time to hold your hand. I can't convince you that what you're clinging to is false. Same with the Democrats. Like, bro, you're buying into a system and a party that once upon a time wasn't even the party its name is right now. Do you realize that? Do you realize that the Democrats and the Republicans switch sides? They switch beliefs. That should tell you how fake the shit is right there. That should tell you how fake it is right there. As United States of America, we should just be able to vote for good, wholesome candidates. And we should be given more than 2 to 4. We should be given a nice big number that we narrow down over their accolades, their accomplishments, their philanthropy, their what they stand for, their record, as if I should even have to mention that. And this isn't like me, I'm a horrible person to pick because I'm not clean and I have a bad past and I have the next generation, the generation that I'm mainly talking to that's up and coming right now. Put them in there. Why do we always got to stand in the way and gatekeep? You got the same fucking politicians that's been here since our grandparents were fucking here. They're dying right in front of our eyes and running the country simultaneously. And you don't have a problem with that. We've had back-to-back presidents with Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, or they're faking it. And either way, it's fucking embarrassing. And this is what I mean by critical thinking. So I was arguing with some, not arguing, but typing. And I said, am I the only person that finds it funny that this was the second president in a row that has dementia when shit starts to hit the fan? You know what everybody said in response to me? No, they were really old. It's normal. Shoo! Right over top of your fucking head. You missed it. You missed it. So why did we put them in there? That's my point. Bro, by the time my grandparents were in their 60s and 70s, they were cooked. They were done. And I don't mean that in a way of like they couldn't do stuff. They weren't fun to be around. They weren't loving people. I don't mean that. But they didn't have the mental capacity to run a fucking country. They needed reminders. They were on 20 different medications. They struggled to stay awake past noon. And then they sit up. They do the same shit Trump was doing. Then they sit up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching soaps and TV and shit, and then fall back asleep, and it's the rinse and repeat. Yeah, man, they're supposed to be sitting back somewhere enjoying the rest of their life. They're not supposed to be stressed out running the country. Why do we have back-to-back dementia? If I was a different country somewhere else, I'm like, look at these fucking clowns. This country's a full fucking shit show, clown show. 2 years in a row, they've elected fucking nursing home patients as president of the United States. 2 terms in a row, we've had that. And not only that, but the other one was a felon. So you mean a felon that's a citizen can't buy a gun to defend themselves, but a felon that is a celebrity can become president and run a country? Like, I just don't even get the point of why we pretend anymore. Why anybody believes in the American system. Why do any of you still believe in this shit? It is so fake. It is so much of a lie. There's nothing real, honest, and genuine about any of it. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. That's why you feel insane. That's why you feel sick. That's why you're stressed out. That's why people aren't having kids anymore. That's why people aren't getting together anymore. That's why people aren't getting married anymore. That's why people are getting divorced. That's why people are fucking stressed out, dying faster, dying younger, and giving up on life in the American system. You want to know why? That's why. Because it's generation after generation, we let this shit show go on and we kept participating. We keep participating. Every time we're throwing some race bait, we eat it up like piranhas. Every time we're throwing some fucking sexist bait to pull at our little heartstrings and our feelings from our past traumas and our mommy issues and daddy issues, we eat it up like piranhas. I promise you, with everything in my soul, before social media, and more specifically before Donald Trump, we didn't have all this shit on social media and all this popularity amongst politics. Didn't nobody give a shit about politics when I was growing up. I swear to you. When I was growing up, when I was a kid, from kid all the way until about 30, didn't nobody give a shit about politics. We was not talking about that. We said fuck them all. We were not, and our parents weren't talking about it. Our grandparents were just like, they'd watch a news clip, but they'd be zip quiet. And when they went to vote and you asked them who they voted for, they didn't tell you. They said it's none of your business. You have a right to vote. Go vote if you want to. But now you got people having fucking civil wars over who they're voting for, and everybody's a libtard and a this, that, and a bunch of little dumbass like we still on the playground. Grow the fuck up. You mad because they keep screwing you over, but you won't even grow up yourself. So yeah, they're going to keep taking advantage of you. Left, right, you're both brainwashed. I don't got to call you names. I don't gotta call you retarded, insult your intelligence, make fun of your lifestyle, make a bunch of assumptions, projections, and accusations about you, because that's besides the point, and that's part of the fucking problem. I'm saying you're conditioned because you are. I was conditioned too. I was conditioned to do a lot of bad shit that I've done in my life. But at some point, you have to wake up and realize that there's no excuse, and nobody else is gonna come stop it. And if we stay divided, we're never gonna get together. It's like during Black Lives Matter. Like, I don't care if it was a hoax or if it was bullshit or if it was bait or not. What I'm standing up for is the inequality and the targeting that goes on. What I'm standing up for is the lack of justice and the complete failure that was desegregation and affirmative action. That's what I'm standing up for, the bigger fucking picture. And I know, as a white American who grew up in poverty with drugs and all that shit, grew up in the same type of conditioning and the same issues, I know that if they don't hear that and they can't even stand up for what's fucking obvious, because equality should be obvious, and the fact that our system is generationally racist at a systemic level is obvious, bro. Like, it's not debatable. It's obvious. It's not a debate. So if I'm sitting back in the corner and I see people fighting over that fact, I know we're cooked. Like, if we can't even get past the obvious, we're never going to go after the rest of it. We're never going to make headway with the rest of the bullshit that's going on, because we can't even agree on the basics, on the common sense shit. And people will project and then deflect. How you going to do both? How you going to project shit and then deflect when you're brought truth? That means you're an impossible person. That means you don't want to argue. You don't want to have a debate. You just want to be a brat, run your fucking mouth, and then move on. You don't actually care about your country, because if you did, you would understand what greater responsibility means. And you would understand that when it comes to fighting back, you don't have room and you don't have time for any enemies that are like you, that are citizens. You don't have time for that. It's a distraction and it takes away from your movement. It's no different than when people of different skin colors speak up against racial injustice and inequality and they get tore down by the people that they're speaking up for. You can do that all you want to. It's not going to, like me personally, it's not going to change my stance and what I believe in and what I think right and wrong is. It's not going to change my education and my fucking knowledge neither. So, but again, you're defeating your movement, you're defeating your purpose, you're defeating your point, because what you need is overwhelming numbers. That's why it hasn't worked yet, because the numbers haven't been overwhelming enough for them to be forced to do something, because they have no choice now. You realize a lot of things that your government implements is because they're terrified. They're scared of a rebellion. They think about it all the time. It terrifies them. So, of course, they're always trying to control it. They're always trying to put things in the way. They're always trying to shoot down all the movements. They're always trying to disrupt the protests. They're always trying to make us suffer for the boycotts, because they're afraid of a real rebellion. They're terrified. Because what the fuck would they do besides blow us up? We already talked about it in my other videos. So what I'm saying to you is, yes, they're poisoning our air. Yes, they're poisoning our food. Yes, they're poisoning our water. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And we need to think about this, because this is something that we can't avoid. We have to eat. We have to stay hydrated. We have to breathe air. This is much more significant and kills many more people than a COVID, a coronavirus, or anything like that. The shit that we're breathing in, that we're eating, that we're drinking on a regular basis is destroying us. And they make it next to impossible and unaffordable to do anything different. So, beyond thinking about it, what are we going to do about it? This is what I keep asking. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to boycott? Are we going to protest? Or are we just going to create a following, walk them to the edge, and then take a nap? because that's what's been happening. So right now you see all the Democrats pushing all their shit. Like they're the ones that are up that got a lot of say. They got a lot of big mouth right now, right? So when the Democrat wins, because I promise you that's exactly what's going to happen. When the Democrat wins this next election, it's going to go quiet. It's going to calm down some. The Republicans are going to sit and wait for the first mistake, the first pitfall, the first price spike, and then they're going to get on their little platforms and say, "I told you these." And the Democrats, who are going to be well aware that we're getting screwed again, they're going to come in here and they're going to fight with them and they're going to go back and forth and they're going to say, "But when it was Trump," and that's why we don't get nowhere, because we use the past to argue with the present to fuck us out the future, basically. Instead of using the past for reference that they're all corrupt and it's all bullshit, it's all a lie, it's all a scam, it's all a pyramid scheme, and it's time for us to get together and knock the shit off. Holding pride on over something that's foolish, you just look like a big fool. That's all. And it's not a bad thing. Everybody's been a fool. I don't know why people are having such a hard time being wrong or being a fool. That's how you learn. If you knew it all when you got here, there'd be no point in being here. You wouldn't have to learn anything. Stop clinging to old shit that don't fit us no more, not just as a individual, but as a race, as a country. We could be better if we wanted to. Bro, Trump is the epitome of doing the opposite of literally everything I said I was going to do. If that was a president, that's him right there. He's cucking out to China. When that was supposed to be your big enemy coming in, you were going to fix all that, right? He's starting war after war. He's lying about everything. The prices are all high. It's bullshit. He lied literally about everything. He hasn't done one thing he said he was going to do. So you think about it.